The night sky over Earth was suddenly pierced by a chilling light. It began as a small flicker, then grew into a massive beam that ripped through the darkness. Across continents and oceans, people vanished, one by one, taken from their beds, streets, and fields without a sound. The abductions were swift, precise, and impossible to explain. Governments scrambled for answers, but no warning came, no message, just the empty spaces where millions once stood. Maya Lorne, an astrophysicist who had spent years studying cosmic anomalies, watched the news reports with growing dread. Ships unlike anything seen before hovered silently over cities, their metallic surfaces glowing with eerie, otherworldly light. The vessels were enormous, towering machines that blocked out stars behind them. They were here to take humanity. But why? And what would become of those taken? Inside one of those ships, deep in a dimly lit chamber, humans were herded like cattle. The walls were cold metal, humming with alien technology that pulsed faintly beneath the surface. They were stripped of their belongings, their identities reduced to numbers tattooed on their wrists. The air was thick with fear and confusion. Men, women, even children, dragged from Earth to serve a purpose they did not understand. Among them was Jake, a former soldier with a stubborn fire in his eyes. He clenched his fists and scanned his fellow prisoners. Faces filled with shock, but also something else, a flicker of resistance. The aliens saw them as mere tools, weapons to be molded into perfect soldiers. They trained relentlessly, forced into combat drills that pushed human limits and beyond. Days blurred into nights. The prisoners were starved, beaten, and tested. The alien overseers barked orders in strange, guttural languages. The humans learned quickly. Survival meant obedience. But Jake refused a break. In the shadows of the training grounds, whispers began. Secrets passed from one captive to another. They were not just soldiers. They were becoming something more. One evening, as the sun set on an alien world far from Earth, a strange event shook the prison camp. A prisoner named Lena, quiet and unassuming, suddenly stood taller than before. Her eyes glowed faintly with blue light. With a simple gesture, she lifted a heavy metal door that no human could have budged. The overseers froze, their faces contorted in shock. She was different, more powerful. Word spread quickly. If one could do the impossible, maybe others could too. Hope sparked amid despair. Jake approached Lena cautiously. "How did you do that?" he asked. "I don't know," she whispered. "It just happened, like something inside me woke up." The aliens gathered their commanders, alarm spreading through their ranks. These humans were no longer predictable. Their strength, endurance, and now strange new powers defied the aliens' control. The overseers ordered stricter measures. But the seeds of rebellion had been planted. At night, the prisoners huddled together, sharing stories of their lives on Earth, memories of families, and dreams of freedom. Jake became their unofficial leader, organizing small acts of defiance. They sabotaged equipment, intercepted alien communications, and planned escape routes. The training camps were no longer just places of suffering. They became the birthplace of a revolution. One day, during a brutal combat simulation, Jake noticed something terrifying. The aliens were not just preparing soldiers, they were preparing an army. And this army was being sent back to Earth, not to save, but to conquer. The truth struck hard. The abduction was not a kidnapping. It was a prelude to invasion. Desperation fueled their resolve. Jake gathered his closest allies. "We have to fight back," he said, voice low but firm. "We're stronger than they think. They want soldiers, but we will become warriors." As plans unfolded, Lena's abilities grew. She could manipulate energy, bend metal, and sense the alien technology around her. Others began showing signs, too. Unseen strength, rapid healing, telepathy. The aliens' experiment was unraveling, but the alien command was ruthless. They sent their deadliest enforcers to crush the uprising before it could begin. One night, under the cloak of darkness, a squad descended on the prisoners' quarters. Guns fired, screams echoed, and chaos erupted. Jake fought fiercely, shielding those around him. Lena unleashed a blast that threw several aliens across the room. The prisoners, despite their fear, rallied together. They were not just captives anymore. They were a force. After the battle, the camp was scarred, but the humans had won a small victory. The overseers retreated, stunned by the unexpected resistance. For the first time, the aliens questioned their control over these strange, defiant creatures. In the dim glow of the camp's emergency lights, Jake stood among his people. His heart pounded with hope and fear. This was only the beginning. If they could survive this, maybe they could find a way home. Or better yet, take back their freedom and their world. Unseen by all, the highest alien commanders watched through monitors, their faces grim. "This human," one hissed, pointing at the screen showing Jake and Lena. "She is unlike the others. Her power grows beyond our predictions." The alien leader's eyes gleamed coldly. "Then we must prepare. These humans are no longer soldiers to be controlled. They are becoming something dangerous." Far away, beneath the alien stars, the fate of humanity hung in balance. The abduction had only awakened a force no one expected, a force that could shake the foundations of the galaxy itself. And deep inside the prison, Lena's glowing eyes fixed on the horizon, where the distant blue orb of Earth shone faintly. A silent promise formed in her mind. They would not just survive, they would rise. The first sign of human evolution had begun. The war for humanity's future was about to start. The cold metal walls of the alien camp seemed to close in tighter with each passing day. Inside the vast compound, humans shuffled through their endless drills, their faces grim and bodies worn. Yet something strange was happening beneath the surface, something the alien overseers failed to fully understand. Jake moved silently among the prisoners, watching. He had seen the first spark of power in Lena, how she lifted the heavy door with a flick of her hand. Since then, others had started to change. Quiet at first, subtle shifts in strength, speed, or sharpness of mind. It was as if the captivity itself was awakening something deep inside them. At dawn, the camp's alarms blared. Soldiers scrambled to their posts, but Jake was already gathering a small group in the shadowed corners near the training grounds. "Listen," he whispered urgently. "They want to break us, but they don't know what they're doing. This place, it's changing us. We're not just prisoners. We're becoming stronger." The group listened, eyes wide but filled with hope. Maya, a young woman from Earth's northern plains, nodded slowly. She had felt the shift too, the sudden clarity in her thoughts, the strength to lift heavy stones that had once been impossible. "But how do we use this? How do we fight when they outnumber us and have weapons that could crush cities?" Jake smiled grimly. "We start small. We learn. We train, not just their way, but our way. We turn their weapons against them. And we believe we can win." Word spread quickly through the camp. The prisoners started testing their limits. Some found they could run faster, their muscles burning with newfound power. Others discovered sharp mental focus, able to anticipate attacks before they happened. A few, like Lena, developed strange abilities: energy manipulation, telekinesis, healing. The alien commanders watched nervously from their high towers. They sent reports to their superiors, warning of the growing threat. These humans were evolving too fast, too unpredictably. The soldiers they had created to be tools were becoming a danger. One afternoon, the camp's training field became the stage for an extraordinary event. The aliens forced a brutal combat exercise, pitting prisoners against mechanized drones designed to test their fighting skills. The drones were fast and lethal, but the humans fought with ferocity no machine could match. Jake led the charge. With a roar, he dove into the thick of the battle, dodging laser blasts and knocking drones aside with powerful blows. Beside him, Maya moved like a shadow, her speed a blur. Lena lifted a fallen comrade with a wave of her hand and threw him back into the fight. The prisoners fought not just for survival, but for hope. The aliens' faces twisted in disbelief. These humans were no longer the weak captives they once thought. They were evolving into something else, something dangerous. After the battle, the prisoners gathered in small groups, sharing stories of their powers. Some were frightened, unsure of what was happening to them. Others embraced a change, seeing it as a gift, a chance to fight back. Jake addressed them once more. "This is only the beginning. We must stay united. The aliens will come for us with everything they have. But we have something they don't, a will to survive, and powers beyond their understanding. Late that night, as the camp fell into uneasy silence, a shadow moved through corridors. The alien commanders had sent word to their elite forces. A deadly squad of mercenaries, bred for hunting and killing evolved humans, was preparing to descend on the camp. Jake sensed the danger before the alarms blared. He gathered the resistance quickly. "They're coming," he warned. "We must be ready." As the elite squad entered the camp, silence was shattered by gunfire and screams. The prisoners fought fiercely, their powers lighting up the dark halls. Jake and Lena led a fierce counterattack, pushing back the mercenaries with strength and skill. But the enemy was ruthless, and the battle was brutal. For every prisoner who fell, two more rose with greater power, fueled by anger and hope. The camp became a battlefield where the line between human and alien blurred, and the fate of Earth's kidnapped souls hung by a thread. In the chaos, Jake caught sight of the squad's leader, a tall alien with glowing eyes and weapons that hummed with deadly energy. He was different from the rest, more dangerous. Jake knew this fight was far from over. The resistance fought on, battered but unbroken. Somewhere deep inside, a fire burned, a promise that humans were no longer slaves. They were becoming gods of their own destiny. And in the cold metal shadows of the alien ship, the war for freedom had only just begun. The alarm echoed to the vast corridors of the alien military complex, red lights flashing violently against cold metallic walls. Jake's heart pounded fiercely in his chest as he led his group through the maze of passageways, every step bringing them closer to freedom or death. The breakout was no longer a plan. It was a desperate necessity. "We move fast and stay silent," Jake hissed, glancing back at the dozen prisoners following him, their faces lit by fear but hardened with determination. Their powers had grown, but so had the alien vigilance. Every corner could hide a patrol, every shadow a trap. Maya gripped a small piece of alien tech she had scavenged earlier, a compact device glowing faintly in her palm. "This might help us," she said quietly, her eyes scanning the corridor ahead. They reached a junction where two armed guards stood alert. Without hesitation, Lena stepped forward, energy crackling in her hands. With a sudden blast, a wave of force hurled the guard across the hall, crashing into walls. The path cleared, but the noise triggered an alarm deeper in the complex. "Move! Move!" Jake barked, leading the group through a series of twisting corridors and stairwells. The compound was enormous, more like a city than a prison. But Jake knew one place better than any, the hangar bay where the aliens kept their transport ships. They ran through maintenance tunnels, narrowly avoiding patrols alerted by the alarm. The complex's layout was alien and confusing, but Jake's memories of the training sessions helped him guide the group. Suddenly, they came upon a chamber filled with strange, glowing machines. Rows of devices pulsed with energy, some projecting holographic data in the air. Jake's eyes widened. "This is their power source room," he said, all mixing with urgency. "If we can tap into this tech, we can boost our abilities." Maya stepped forward, her fingers moving quickly over one device. A soft hum grew louder as the machine powered on. Suddenly, she felt a surge of energy flow through her veins, her senses sharpening, her strength expanding. Jake looked at the others. "Everyone, connect to these. We don't have much time." One by one, the group approached the alien devices, feeling waves of power coursing through their bodies. The enhancements were immediate. Lena lifted a heavy metal door with one hand. Another prisoner dashed across the room with impossible speed. But the alarm bells rang even louder. Alien troops poured into the chamber, weapons raised. The breakout had been discovered. The battle was fierce. Humans and aliens clashed in brutal combat, energy and weapons lighting up the room. Jake fought with everything he had, his powers amplified by the alien tech, throwing enemies aside like rag dolls. "Go! The hangar is this way," he shouted, pushing his way toward the exit. The others followed, battered but unstoppable. They burst into the hangar bay, where several small ships waited. Jake pointed at a sleek craft, its engines humming softly. "This one. Let's fly." Inside the cockpit, Jake took control, fingers flying over unfamiliar controls. The ship responded instantly, rising smoothly from the platform. Behind them, the sound of alien reinforcements grew closer. "We're clear," Maya said, her voice steady despite the chaos outside. "Not for long," Jake muttered, eyes scanning the star-filled expanse beyond the bay's transparent walls. They jumped into space, leaving the prison planet behind. But freedom came with uncertainty. The galaxy stretched vast and unknown before them. "We don't have a destination," Maya said. "We can't go back to Earth." "Not yet." Jake nodded. "We head for the outer colonies, places the aliens don't watch as closely. We regroup, we get stronger." Days passed as the ship glided through dark star systems. The prisoners explored their enhanced powers, practicing control and strength. The alien tech had changed them, but the cost was still unknown. One night, Maya studied the ship's database, her eyes widening as she uncovered encrypted messages. "Jake, listen to this." She played a recording in a low voice. It described a massive alien fleet being assembled, thousands of warships preparing to invade Earth and crush the human race once and for all. Jake clenched his fists. "They're coming for us. For Earth. But now we have power," Lena said firmly. "And we have each other." Jake looked around at his group, the faces weary but filled with hope and fury. "We fight, not as slaves, but as warriors. This is just the beginning." The stars outside the ship seemed colder now, but inside, a fire burned, a fire that would not be extinguished. The war for humanity's survival had truly begun. The vast expanse of stars stretched endlessly outside the ship's viewport, but inside, the atmosphere was thick with tension and hope. Jake stood at the center of the makeshift command room, surrounded by his growing band of human soldiers. Each face showed signs of change, not just the alien tech that enhanced their bodies, but something deeper: power, confidence, a spark that had never existed before in any human. For weeks, they had traveled through forbidden sectors of space, avoiding patrols and gathering resources. They had turned alien weapons and technology into tools for their own cause. The alien tech, once meant to suppress them, now fueled their evolution. Humans were no longer the hunted. They were becoming hunters. Jake's mind was heavy. Leadership was a weight he had never asked for but could not escape. Every decision felt like the difference between survival and annihilation. His group depended on him, not just for strategy, but for hope. In a dimly lit hall on a remote rebel outpost, word of the humans' growing power spread like wildfire. The alien rebels, a fractured group who opposed the oppressive empire, saw something in these humans, something extraordinary. They saw gods. A meeting was called. Alien leaders from various species gathered around a holographic table, their forms flickering in the low light. Among them was Croft, a towering alien with scarred blue skin and glowing orange eyes, the leader of one rebel faction, his gaze fixed on the hologram of Jake and his soldiers. "They are more than warriors," Croft said, voice rumbling like distant thunder. "Their strength surpasses our expectations. They are divine beings." Whispers rippled through the assembly. Worship was rare in this galaxy, and yet here was a new kind of reverence. The humans' powers, their defiance against the Empire, their mastery of alien technology, all seemed godlike. Back on the ship, Jake received messages from the rebels. They offered alliance and aid. They wanted to stand with humans, not just as allies, but as followers. Jake paced the command room, conflicted. "We didn't ask to be gods," he muttered. "We're just trying to survive." Lena, one of the strongest among them, looked up from her training. "Maybe that's what we have to be. Gods or slaves. There's no middle ground anymore." The transformation was undeniable. The humans built their own army, blending alien weaponry with their evolving powers. Their ranks swelled with new recruits, humans who had escaped abduction, aliens who refused to serve the Empire, and even some former enemies who believed in this new cause. Training was brutal. Jake pushed his people harder than ever. They practiced with energy blades, learned to manipulate alien tech, and honed their mental abilities. Their strength grew daily, but so did the pressure. At night, Jake sat alone, staring at the stars. He thought of Earth, the planet that had been their prison, their home, their lost world. He wondered if they would ever return, or if this new existence, as gods among soldiers, was their fate. Suddenly, an urgent message broke the silence. The communications console flashed with a warning. An elite alien warlord named Varric had declared open war on the humans. His fleet was assembling in the outer rings, preparing for an attack that promised total destruction. Jake's heart sank. Varric was known for his ruthless tactics and unmatched power. The warlord viewed the rising humans as a threat to his dominance and was determined to crush them before they grew stronger. "We knew this day would come," Jake said, voice steady despite the storm inside him. "But we're not alone anymore. We fight, not just for survival, but for a future where we are no longer tools. We are rulers." His people gathered around him, faces fierce and ready. The war for their destiny was about to explode into the galaxy, and the gods among soldiers would either rise or fall in fire. Fire streaked across the blackness of space as starships clashed in a deadly dance above a shattered alien world. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers, lighting the void with fire and smoke. Jake stood on the bridge of the human flagship, his eyes burning with fierce determination. Around him, his soldiers moved with purpose, their bodies enhanced by alien technology, their minds sharper and faster than any enemy could expect. The battle was unlike any before. Humans no longer fought as mere soldiers trained to follow orders. They fought like warriors born from fire and struggle. Their tactics were unpredictable and bold. They used speed, strength, and mental powers to outmaneuver enemies who were stronger and more numerous. Across the star systems, the human-led forces attacked alien strongholds and outposts. Small squads used stealth and surprise, slipping behind enemy lines to disable weapons and communications. Larger battles saw waves of humans wielding energy weapons that cut through shields and armor with deadly precision. They fought with a passion that seemed to burn from their very souls. The aliens were stunned. Their long-held belief that humans were tools, nothing more than expendable fighters, shattered with every victory. Tales spread quickly. Humans moved like gods, impossible to predict and nearly impossible to kill. Their powers were growing, and with each win, their legend grew. On a scorched battlefield littered with debris and fallen enemies, Jake led a charge. His sword, glowing with blue energy, sliced through the air as he faced down towering alien warriors. Around him, his comrades fought fiercely, driven by hope and unyielding will. They were no longer captives or slaves. They were warriors fighting for their freedom and honor. But even as victory seemed within reach, shadows moved closer. Trust was tested in the heat of war. Jake had always been careful, yet betrayal often came from the closest of allies. In the midst of a fierce skirmish, an explosion threw Jake to the ground. As he struggled to rise, a familiar figure appeared, weapon aimed directly at him. The friend he had trusted, the one who had fought beside him through countless battles, now stood as his captor. Shock and pain surged through Jake. His capture sent ripples through the ranks of the human warriors. The war was far from over, and the greatest trials still lay ahead. Jake woke to cold chains biting into his wrists. The dim light above flickered, casting long shadows in the damp cell where he was held. Pain pulsed through his body from the harsh treatment he had received, but his mind remained sharp. The alien guards had tried to break him, but they didn't know what lay beneath his suffering. Days had passed, maybe weeks. Time lost meaning here. The only sounds were distant footsteps and the low hum of alien machinery. His body ached, but Jake's thoughts turned inward. He searched for strength, for a way out. Giving up was not an option. One night, as the cell door slid open, 2 towering alien soldiers stepped in. Their eyes glowed cold, and their faces were hidden behind strange helmets. They dragged Jake out of the cell, taking him to a room filled with alien technology. The air was thick and metallic. They strapped him to a cold metal chair. Strange devices were placed on his temples and wrists. A low hum began, and sharp pain stabbed through his skull. The aliens wanted answers about the rebellion, about human secrets. But Jake endured the torture in silence. He clenched his teeth and focused on the small hope inside him. Suddenly, the devices pulsed brighter. In the pain, Jake's mind cracked open. Visions flashed in his mind. stars exploding, ancient ruins on forgotten planets, a cosmic race long dead. Then, a startling truth unfolded. Humans were descendants of this cosmic race, a race that had spread life across galaxies, leaving behind seeds that would one day grow powerful enough to challenge empires. This knowledge flooded Jake's mind, giving him strength beyond pain. The aliens feared humans not because of their physical power, but because of their hidden potential, their legacy. As the torture continued, Jake used the knowledge to push back against the alien control. His mind became a shield, resisting their attempts to break him. The guards noticed a change. Their machines malfunctioned, sparks flying. Jake's chains rattled as if reacting to his will. With a surge of strength, Jake broke free from the restraints. He fought the guard with a power he had never felt before, fast, strong, and fierce. He moved quickly through the dark halls of the alien fortress, avoiding patrols and alarms. His mind was clear, driven by the secret knowledge burning inside him. Finally, Jake reached the holding area where the other human prisoners were kept. Many were weak and scared, but when they saw Jake's power and determination, hope ignited in their eyes. "Follow me," Jake said firmly. "We're breaking free." Together, they moved to the fortress, using stolen alien weapons and Jake's new abilities to overpower their captors. The prisoners fought with renewed spirit, no longer slaves but warriors. Outside, the stars shone cold and distant. Freedom was close, but danger loomed. The alien empire's emperor, a figure of terrifying power and cruelty, was on his way to crush the rebellion once and for all. Jake looked up at the sky, feeling the weight of what was to come. The battle for humanity's future was far from over. But now, armed with ancient truth and unstoppable will, they were ready. The war had just begun. The stars seemed colder than ever as Jake stood before the gathered rebels. Alien warriors from many different worlds, all united by one cause: the rise of humans. For the first time, the broken and enslaved had found strength beyond imagination. The hope for freedom burned bright in their eyes, and Jake could feel the weight of their trust. "Today," Jake's voice echoed through the vast rebel command hall, "we fight not just for ourselves, but for every soul crushed under the Empire's hand. We are no longer slaves. We are the new gods rising." Around him, alien leaders nodded, some hesitant, some filled with fierce determination. The humans had proven themselves beyond doubt, stronger, faster, smarter. But what Jake was about to show would shake even the most powerful. Outside, the rebel fleets prepared, ships of many shapes and sizes, forged in secret, hidden from the Empire's spies. This was no ordinary battle. It was the dawn of a new era. As the command hall emptied, Jake turned to his closest allies. "The powers we have are more than physical," he said quietly. "They change the very fabric of reality. The artifact's legacy lives in us. We will bend space, time, and energy itself to our will." The others looked at him, disbelief mixed with awe. Some still feared such power. Others saw salvation. Suddenly, alarms blared. The Empire's warships had detected their location. The war was about to erupt. Jake stood tall as the first attack came, a barrage of lasers and plasma fire. The rebels scattered, but humans moved differently. They didn't just dodge. They vanished and reappeared, moving through shadows like ghosts. Their hands glowed with energy that shattered metal and disabled engines. Alien soldiers who faced them felt their minds twisting, unable to focus. On the battlefield, humans raised their voices in a unified cry. A ripple passed through the air, a shift in reality itself. The very ground beneath enemy ships cracked open, swallowing them whole. Time slowed for the Imperial soldiers as humans moved faster than sight, striking and disappearing. The alien forces were stunned. They had never seen such power. Fear spread like wildfire among their ranks. In the midst of battle, Jake faced an enemy commander, a towering alien clad in black armor, wielding weapons that had crushed countless worlds. Their clash sent shockwaves through the battlefield. Energy collided, shaking ships and tearing the sky apart. Jake's power surged. With a thought, he warped space, sending the alien flying into his own fleet. The commander's ships exploded in a fiery rain. Word of the humans' victory spread fast. across distant systems. Alien rebels rallied to the human cause. They saw in humans something new, gods, not conquerors, but liberators. Yet, the Empire was not defeated. Its grip tightened, and its emperor prepared to strike with fury unseen before. Then, as the humans celebrated, the skies above the battlefield changed. A deep silence fell. Stars blinked out one by one, and a shadow moved across the galaxy, a force older than time. A mysterious cosmic entity awakened in response to the humans' rising power. Its presence bent the rules of war and reality. Ships stalled mid-flight. Weapons lost their charge. The fabric of space itself trembled. Jake felt it deep in his soul, a call, a warning, a challenge. The war was no longer just between humans and aliens. Something vast, something ancient, had turned its gaze on them all. The rise of the new gods had awakened a force that would change everything. In that moment, hope and fear became one. The future of the galaxy hung in the balance, waiting to be rewritten. The ancient ruins stretched out before Jake and his team, like a vast puzzle lost in time. The relics shimmered faintly under the eerie light of the distant stars, their carvings etched with symbols no one alive could fully understand. These artifacts were more than just old objects. They were the keys to a truth long hidden, a truth that could change everything. Jake stepped forward, feeling a strange energy pulse beneath his feet. The relics whispered secrets, as if they remembered a time when the universe was young and full of promise. The humans who had been abducted, tortured, and turned into soldiers were now the inheritors of an ancient legacy far greater than any of them had imagined. We were never meant to be slaves, Jake said quietly, his eyes scanning the intricate designs. These relics, they tell a story. We were created for something much bigger, to be rulers, to bring balance. His team gathered around, each of them touched by the glowing light. Mira, a scientist turned rebel, traced her fingers over the smooth surface of a crystal sphere. The aliens tried to control us, but it was a failure from the start, she said. We're part of an ancient experiment, but one that has outgrown its purpose. As they studied the relics, visions flooded their minds. Images of a cosmic race that had seeded life across the galaxies, crafting humans as their final creation. These creators had vanished, leaving behind their relics as both guide and warning. The power within the artifacts was immense. Jake could feel it stirring inside him, an ancient force waiting to be unleashed. But then the ground trembled. The relics began to glow brighter, their energy surging wildly. The team stepped back, watching as the symbols pulsed with life. A shockwave of light burst forth, enveloping the ruins in a blinding aura. The force awakened by the relics was not just a gift, it was a threat. A wave of energy spread outward, reaching across space and time, touching both humans and aliens alike. Alien ships in nearby systems faltered, their engines stalling. Soldiers dropped their weapons, overwhelmed by the strange power. The balance of the galaxy shifted, teetering on the edge of chaos. Jake's heart pounded as he realized the danger. The relics had activated themselves, releasing a force neither humans nor aliens could fully control. "We've awakened something," he whispered. "Something that could destroy us all." The skies above the ruins darkened and a low hum filled the air, a sound both beautiful and terrifying. The secrets of the ancients were no longer hidden. They had been unleashed, and the fate of the universe hung in the balance. In the distance, the alien empire's warships prepared to respond. But they too were shaken by the power released. The war was no longer just between two armies. It was a struggle against a force that could consume everything. Jake looked to his team, determination burning in his eyes. "We must control this power," he said, "or it will control us." The battle for survival had taken a new form. The secrets of the ancients had opened a door that could lead to salvation or destruction. And beyond that door, the unknown waited, vast, dark, and full of possibilities no one could yet imagine. The battlefield was a vast expanse of shattered moons and burning stars. The air thrummed with energy as humans and alien loyalists clashed in a war unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The humans, no longer mere soldiers, moved with power that seemed divine. Their bodies glowed with a radiant light, their eyes blazing with strength beyond any weapon. Jake stood at the forefront, his presence commanding the tide of battle. Around him, his allies wielded abilities that bent reality itself. Some shifted through space, others moved mountains with a thought. The alien empire's loyalists fought fiercely, but the humans' newfound powers overwhelmed them. Yet, beneath the spectacle of destruction and triumph, a darker force churned. The cosmic energy unleashed by the ancient relics pulsed like a living storm, unpredictable and wild. It rippled through space, twisting the fabric of reality and altering the very nature of the war. Jake felt it in his bones. This force was no ally. It challenged everything, threatening to consume friend and foe alike. Amid the chaos, the Emperor of the alien empire appeared. His arrival was heralded by a shockwave that silenced the battlefield. Towering and majestic, he radiated a cruel power, far older and darker than anything Jake had faced. The two locked eyes, the weight of countless battles and futures hanging between them. Without a word, they charged. Their duel was a clash of titans. Energy flared as their powers collided. Jake summoned the light of distant stars, while the Emperor wielded shadows older than time. Each strike echoed across the shattered moons, sending waves of power through the war-torn space. The humans rallied behind Jake, pushing forward with renewed strength. The alien loyalists faltered, unable to match the might of their leader and his allies. But the cosmic force was not idle. It swirled around the combatants, warping the battlefield. Stars flickered out, space twisted and shadows deepened. It reached out, hungry for control. Just as Jake landed a decisive blow, a rift opened in the cosmic shadows. From it emerged a new enemy, a being of pure energy and malice, its form shifting and terrifying. The battlefield fell silent in shock. The war between humans and aliens was no longer the true battle. This new force threatened to erase them all. Jake's eyes narrowed, his body still glowing with power. The fight for the galaxy had entered a new and more dangerous chapter. The true war was only just beginning. The battlefield was quiet now, but the silence was heavy with the weight of what had passed. The new enemy, a creature born from cosmic shadows and ancient malice, had been defeated. It had taken every ounce of strength, every power humans had gained, but victory was theirs. The creature shattered into stardust, vanishing into the endless void of space. The war was over, but the galaxy would never be the same. The stars bore scars from the battles, and the countless worlds caught in the fight had changed forever. But the greatest change was within humanity itself. No longer were humans mere slaves, abducted and forced into service. No longer were they just soldiers fighting for survival. They had risen, becoming protectors, leaders, and gods among the stars. Their powers had reshaped galaxies. Their courage inspired entire alien factions, and they had rewritten the fate of countless civilizations. Jake stood on the bridge of the human flagship, looking out at the vast cosmos that stretched before him. The stars shimmered differently now, alive with new hope and endless possibilities. Around him, humans and allied alien factions worked side by side, rebuilding what the war had torn apart and forging alliances to protect the future. He remembered the dark days, the cold, cruel training camps where they had been treated as tools, the pain of betrayal, the sacrifices of friends lost. But he also remembered the awakening, the moment humans realized their true potential and the power that lay within them. That power had brought them here, to a new dawn. Humans no longer feared the unknown. They embraced it. The cosmic relics they had uncovered had revealed their origins, a legacy written in the stars. They were not accidents or experiments. They were the intended rulers of the universe, meant to bring balance and light where darkness had once reigned. Jake's gaze fell on the faces of his crew, humans and aliens alike. Each carried the marks of battle, but also the fire of hope. Together, they had defeated enemies far greater than themselves. Together, they would protect the fragile peace that now held. A soft hum filled the ship, the heartbeat of technology and life intertwined. Jake felt it as a promise that humanity's story was just beginning. The galaxy was vast and full of mysteries, and humans would explore them not as slaves, not as soldiers, but as gods who rule the stars with justice and strength. He took a deep breath, the weight of leadership settling comfortably on his shoulders. The journey ahead was unknown and uncertain, but he was ready. They all were. as the stars gleamed beyond the viewport. Jake spoke quietly to himself, a vow echoing in the silence. We were abducted to serve as soldiers. Now, we are the gods who rule the stars.